on the tongue jack and an up and down button for running the jack up or down. It takes a 7/16 socket in the top to manually crank the jack up or down. For any reason, it won't go on its own. There is a manual way that you can crank the front jack up or down. Also has a fusible link right here to the back of the propane bottles. Check that fuse there first before you actually have to manually crank the jack up or down on the front. It also has one 12-volt battery on it. It also has a fusible link off to the side of the battery that is for the inverter. We have the two 20-pound propane cylinders on it. The arrow on the regulator indicates that that's the one we worked off of. We'll go ahead and turn it back on. If you have both cylinders already open, even though the arrow in here is pointed towards that one over there, it would happen to turn red, would indicate that that bottle is empty, and it will automatically pick up from this one over here. Then all you have to do is flip it over to this side here, work off of this one while you take that one to town and have it refilled. The propane rack has two tabs underneath it for a bungee cord that goes underneath the metal rack to hold it in place. But it also has the quick disconnect at the top so that you don't have to take the bottle cover off every time you want to get to the cylinders to turn them on or off. Slide it right back up over the top. One more thing to show you, there is a solar panel connection here at the front that if you wanted to buy the solar panel that sits out to the front of the trailer, it will recharge the battery on the front of the unit only. We have the BLs on all four corners. The 3/4 inch wrench does those. Manually cranks them up or down. We also have a port spray hose that hooks to your outside shower right behind the front slide room. Quick disconnect like an air hose is. There was a little cheap light in there. The batteries are dead in it, but we're going to go ahead and leave it in there. That is where the generator was at one time. The same key that does the front door does the two front compartment locks. We have two low water drain points underneath the front of the trailer. The red is the hot side of the water system. The blue is the cold side of the water system. You'll use those for winterizing and de-winterizing of the trailer and in between long trips if you don't want to have no stagnated water in the water lines. We're going to come to the outside of the hot water heater. Hot water heater works two ways. The 110 switch in the lower left-hand corner on the outside. And then we have a gas switch on the monitor panel on the inside. But before you turn either source of heat on, you want to make sure that you have water coming out of the pop-off valve so that you know the hot water heater is fully loaded with water before you turn on electric or gas. It also has an anode rod down at the bottom. The anode rod is where you'll drain the hot water heater in between trips and for winterizing purposes. An anode rod actually draws all the impurities out of the water that's in the tank to it, eats up that rod instead of eating up the inside of the tank. Anytime the steel rod in the center is showing, it's time to replace it. But that is where you'll drain the hot water heater in between trips and for winterizing purposes. The next connection back is the freshwater tank drain. Where the blue line's hanging down with the gray cap on the end of it, that's where the freshwater tank will drain. The other line hanging out is an overfill tube, so that while you're filling the fresh tank, it forces the air out that line there so that it doesn't cause the tank to swell up on the inside. We're going to come back to the first termination valve. Is your kitchen sink water, your bathroom sink water, and your shower water. It is called a gray tank. We're going to come up to the connections. Freshwater tank fill. It fills the tank with the little gray cap underneath. Then you got your city water connected you can hook to with a water hose and regulator and never have to fill the freshwater tank on it. And then you have a black tank flush here in the back that you can hook to with a water hose and regulator for cleaning out the black tank only. Anytime you hook a connection water hose up to either one of those three connections, it is required to have a water regulator hooked to the hose before you hook to it. Right down below that is your outside shower that gives you hot and cold running water to this side of the unit. The little blue curled hose in the front compartment goes in like an air hose. Makes a quick disconnect right there. Gives you hot and cold running water on this side of the unit. 50 amp power cord goes on, makes a quarter of a turn, tighten up the black knob. The cord's about 30 foot long. It's plugged in the back here. Excuse me. We also have a park cable hookup and a satellite hookup on the outside of the unit. So that if you're at home or at your park that has cable, you can hook to that, and you'll have the same cable you have at home or the park does. If you hook to the satellite inlet, you put your satellite dish out beside the trailer, you can get the satellite pictures that the receiver will pick up. Lug nuts on the trailer has been torqued at 100 foot-pounds. That's what's recommended on the side. The tires are air ducted pressure, which is 80 pounds on the side of the tire cold. Second termination valve here in the back is your black tank only. When you got it dumped, you can hook to the black tank flush with a water hose and regulator, turn water pressure onto it, has a little aerator on the inside that spins around, helps clean more of the debris out of the inside of the black tank only. We also have a vent up here at the top for venting the toys that you're hauling inside the unit. There's going to be one on the opposite side at the bottom. You also have a scare light. Your second stabilizer jack. 3/4 inch nut handle works it. We're going to come back to the tailgate. We're going to flip it up, pull it over to the side. Now it is prepped for a backup camera up top. Doesn't have the camera, but it is prepped for it. We have our 2 docking lights on either side of it. So we're going to come around, we're going to grab a hold of the door, we're going to pull it down. I can get it. It comes down, it is spring assisted at the hinge for taking the toys up and in and out. It has the 2 benches on either side that will fold down into a bed. They do have a leg underneath each one of them that comes down and helps stabilize it against the floor. Same way with on the back. It has a leg on the back of it that comes down and stabilizes it in the center. So we're going to lift the tailgate back up, and it is easy enough. One person can do it by themselves. Goes right back up into place. Handle comes around, goes down, makes a connection. Lock it with a padlock or a pin. Either way you wanted to do it. But it is spring assisted down here at the bottom. The hole on this side over here, it takes a 3/4 inch socket, handle just like the stabilizer jacks does, but it lets your spare tire drop down underneath the unit. That's where the spare tire is mounted, up underneath the unit. We're going to come over here. It does have a back door that'll let you into the toy hauler part, so you don't have to trace all the way through the front of the unit to get to the back. A set of pull-out steps. Pulls out, comes down, accesses you in and out of there. We're going to come up to the furnace next. It sucks cold air in the front, hot air out the bottom. I always suggest putting a mud dauber screen over the outside of the furnace. The simple fact is, the mud dauber screen's only less than 20 bucks to put on. It's $145 an hour for every hour that I have to take the furnace out to clean the mud daubers out of. So that $20 investment's worth its weight in gold if you ask me. Outside of the refrigerator's next, in the slide room, has 2 panels so that it breathes in behind up through the coils. The little white thing is the drain for the freezer. Once the freezer's made water, drops back down in, comes to the outside connection, does have a little insect screen inside of it so the bugs don't go up and block it off. We also have the outside of the range hood, lifts up, allows the flapper to flap while you're using it on the inside, but when you get ready to travel, you'll want to push it back down and lock it into place. That way it doesn't break out. It has a 16th inch tab on either side of the top. If you leave it open while you're traveling, it'll sit there and flap till it breaks itself out. There is a place for a TV out here that you can slide on. Hooks to the park cable or antenna on top of the trailer. And a 110 outlet to plug it into. We're going to slide right past the front door. We're going to come to the front compartment. Each one of the front compartments has its own door holder that holds it up out of the way. But it is a pass-through compartment. Same key does the front door, does the two front compartment doors. We're going to come back to the front door. We're going to open it up all the way. Fully extended. Yellow handle in the center loosens the steps from the door frame, turns it sideways, allows it to come out. There is adjustment on either one of the legs. A little pin on either side to adjust the legs for the proper fit of the door. We're going to step up into the unit. It does have a working fire extinguisher on the left-hand side as we come in. We're going to go up to our top switch. We're going to turn it on, which actually turns the set of step lights on. The first switch right down below it to the left-hand side turns the light above the cabinet on. The second one turns the center row of lights in the living room kitchen area on. The third one turns your LED lights underneath the awning on. And the fourth one turns your speaker lights on the outside. Excuse me. Now we're going to pull that door about halfway back open so that we can run the awning out. We're going to hit the extend button on the awning. We're going to fully extend the awning out till the skirt is hanging straight up and down. On each one of the awning arms themselves, there is what I call a pinch point that you can pull down against that puts the pitch of the rain coming off this back corner of the awning. We'll push it back up straight. Before you run it back in, it has to be in the straight parallel. We're going to close the front door. There's one on the front arm too, that if you wanted to pull down against it, that would put the pitch of the rain coming off the front corner of the awning. You can pull both of them down at the same time, and it makes a bigger slant on the awning canvas itself. But before you roll it back up, they have to be pushed back up straight in line with each other. Then you'll come back into the awning switch and hit the retract button on it and let it roll up. The awning is one of the most expensive parts you will put onto the unit. If you leave it out and leave it unattended, wind can get underneath it, pick it up like a parachute. Usually pulls the arms loose from the side of the trailer. They are spring loaded. They will flip up to the top and they will take out one of your skylights and one of your air conditioner covers 9 times out of 10. We're going to come right down below that. We're going to take to the left hand side. We're going to go ahead and run it out, which is your door side slide room. On the door side slide room, there's 3 handles you have to worry about the slide room catching. The 2 at the top of the cabinet and the 2 for the drawer. You want to make sure that they're both kept pushed in when you run the slide rooms in and out. We're going to come over to the second one. We're going to run it out. It is also good to make sure there's not a vehicle pulled up along that side or a tree on that side as you run it out. Okay, we're going to go back here to the cabinet. There is a place for a TV to mount right here in the living room kitchen area. The one that works off the antenna is marked with antenna. It is the white coax. The gray coax will be your satellite hookup that you can hook up to the outside of the unit with a satellite dish, and you'll have the same channels the satellite dish will pick up wherever you're at. It also has a HDMI cord on this side over here, and it also has the S cord, which is the red, white, and yellow cord. It does have a remote for the stereo to turn it on and off. We also have the inside and outside speakers, which will be marked zone 1 and zone 2. I'm going to turn that back off because it's not on a very good radio station, but it is marked as zones 1 and 2. You can also hook a HDMI cord to it, and it does have a USB port, and it does have a port over here for headphones. If somebody's wanting to listen to the stereo and everybody else don't want to listen to it, there is a way to hook headphones to it. As we start down the kitchen side of the unit, it does have pretty good sized cabinet space up top. It does have a light for the stove top and a fan. For the fan to work properly, the two tabs on the outside vent have to be lifted up, allows that flapper to flap. Then we're going to go down to the burners herself. We're going to turn it to the highlight position. If I can do it without getting my finger burnt. They have to be lit by hand, both sides. Long lighter or match is required. Not a cigarette lighter, a long lighter or match. We're going to come right down below it. It does have a microwave oven. The only thing I can tell you about the microwave oven is I did warm my coffee up in it the 2 days that I was in here. It does have a drawer down below it for pots and pans. We're going to come back up to the refrigerator. We're going to go ahead and turn it off. To turn the refrigerator on, all you do is hit the on and off button automatically. It goes to the 110 side of the refrigerator. If you wanted it off of 110 over to gas, all you have to do is push the gas button, let it pop out. Excuse me. For any reason it does not light on gas, the check light will come on. It'll take about a minute to a minute and a half for it to come on if it does not light. If it does not light, what I usually do is I go back to the kitchen stove. I light the stove to make sure that I have gas pulled back to the appliances. Come back and go through the sequence again, which is turn it on electric first. Go over to the gas button, let it pop back out. See if it lights a second time. Anytime you're trying to light the refrigerator, it goes through 2 cycles of trying to light the refrigerator before the check light will come on. So I'm going to put it right back off of electric or gas, back over to electric. One more neat thing to show you in the icebox. There is a way you can control the temperature that's in there. The far right hand fin on the white fin on the far right hand side is your adjustment for your refrigerator and freezer. The farther up that fin is, the colder it gets on the inside. The farther down that fin is, the warmer it gets on the inside. So there is an adjustment for that. Pretty good sized cabinet space off to the right hand side. Lots of little extra cereals and goodies, canned goods. 2 drawers, the little drawer at the top, which is where your paperwork will be for the unit. We'll put it right back in there. Bottom drawer, pretty good sized cabinet space. There was 2 keys on the counter here. I wonder where they went to. There is 2 keys for the unit. Both the keys do the lock and deadbolt on the front and back door, and your 2 outside compartments. While we're standing here, we do have a 110 outlet that is GFI protected at the end of the countertop. On your faucet, push it to the left side for hot water and pull back on it. Push it to the right side for cold water and pull back on it too. Had a lady tell me I didn't explain that to her good enough. So we'll go through that again. On the end of the island, there is a vent for heat to bring heat out into the living room kitchen area. And we also have our battery disconnect. If you're not going to be using the unit for a long period of time, I would suggest turning the key to the off position and taking it out. It saves all the 12 volt that's in the battery for the next time you come into the unit to use it. We're going to slide right around it. It does have a working LP carbon monoxide detector right here at the back side of the sink. It has a smoke detector right above the stereo entertainment center. We're going to come back to the thermostat. We're going to turn it on. It's going to give us our fan speed first. We got auto, high, and low. You always want to run in the auto position. Go back to your mode button, hit it one time, gets a little snowflake off in the lower right hand corner. Hit that mode button one more time. You have the heat in the lower left hand corner. Hit that mode button one more time and it says off in the lower right hand corner. Push the buttons very adamant to where you see the lights actually change on it. If you confuse it, excuse me, sometimes it can come off of Fahrenheit and go to Celsius, which gives your numbers an odd reading. To change that back, you'll hold the plus and minus button at the same time until it kicks back over into Fahrenheit. We're going to go into the bathroom area. It does have a light on the left hand side as we come in. Also has a max air fan up in the ceiling. We're going to turn it on. Automatically the vent will come open. And there's 4 settings on the fan. You can come down to the bottom and turn the fan off. Automatically the lid will come back down. Excuse me. It does have a round vent in the ceiling in the bathroom that brings AC into the bathroom area. It also has a brown vent on the floor that brings heat into the bathroom area. Same as your shower at home. You have hot water on the left hand side, cold water on the right hand side. It has a single foot flush on the right hand side of the toilet. Directions on the lid says fill it halfway full of water like it is. When you fill and push, it'll fill and dump through the bottom. We're going to come right over to this side here. We also have your breaker for the 110 outlet, GFCI outlet. We also have your monitor panel that if you touch the first button, it tells you the charge that's left in the battery. To get an accurate reading on that, you really need to have the 110 line unplugged and then push the battery button. Anytime the 110 line's plugged up on the unit, it's going to show you fully charged. Okay, you're going to come right back over and check the freshwater tank. Shows you it's got 2/3 of a tank left in it. Black tank, which is your toilet water, is empty. Gray tank, which is your kitchen sink, bathroom sink, and shower water, is empty. And it does not have the 3rd tank underneath the unit. Excuse me. Right down below that, the first button on the left hand side that is red turns your gas side of the hot water heater on. The little light excuse me, in between them will come on, which is the door side fault light. As soon as that little red light would go off, the hot water heater will go through 2 lighting processes to light on gas. For any reason it does not light on gas, that little red light will come back on just like it just now did. So what you'll do is you'll turn it back off again, turn it back on. The little red light stays on for about a minute. Once the red light goes off, the hot water heater goes through 2 lighting processes to light on gas. Any reason it does not light, the little red light in the center is going to come back on. There it goes. Nope, come back on. Red button to the right hand side of that turns the water pump on between the freshwater tank and the faucets. We'll go ahead and click it. I can't see it. Anytime that it's on, it'll have water coming to the faucets. but it will stay red the whole time that it's on, indicate that it is in the on position. Before we go too much farther away, the water pump and bypass hose is in the bottom of the cabinet on the kitchen sink. Take the 2 screws out of the front of the panel, accesses you right into the water pump. The water pump has a 1 white valve setup on it for winterizing. It does have a hose that you can stick down into a jug, turn that white valve in line with the end of that hose, and it will suck antifreeze through the whole water system on the unit. We're going to come right on past that. It does have a 2-store shelf at the top for a medicine cabinet. It does have a pretty good sized storage cabinet down here at the bottom. The 2 holders that are in there are for our toilet paper. We didn't know if you was right-handed or left-handed. We never mount those. We leave that to the customer to do. But you also have 3 doors to the left-hand side of the bathroom sink. Quite a bit of storage, extra towels, blankets, toilet paper, chemical, whatever you wanted to store in it. We're going to come back into the toy parlor section of it. The 2 lights on either side of the outside was for the lights that work the bed on top. It's not there no more. The first one here to the right hand side turns the lights above us on. The second one in the center turns your 2 docking lights on the tailgate of the unit on. The switch right up above it does run the chairs up and down, so we're going to run them up. We'll run them up about halfway. We will pull the little black pin on the side of either one of them. Then we can fold the backs back down to make a smaller bed. They each one have a leg on the center of the top, and they have a center leg on the bottom for the bedded area that you can put back down, run the bed back or the chairs back down, and make a 2-person bed here in the back. Once they're down in that position, the legs underneath them will sit to the floor, supporting the center 2 pieces of the bed. Now we're going to come back up to the top. We're going to lift it back up out of the way. Once the chairs come back up so far, they hit where the bed used to be on the top. We're lifting it up out of the way, which are just about there. Right there, they hit them 2 blocks, which usually lifts the top part of the bed up out of the way. We're going to run it all the way back up. Now there is another pin on each one of the legs here at the bottom that you can pull loose. Keep the pin in your hand. Same way here in the back. Pull the pin out. We're going to come out here. We're going to pull it loose from the wall and let it fold down. Now that it's down, we're going to go ahead and put the pins back in the side. Then we can also drop it back down so that you have access to the windows. Ta-da! We're going to take it back up so that I can take the pins out of this side over here. We're going to push that back in. We're going to pull each one of the pins on this side over here, keeping the pin in your hand. We're going to come out. We're going to pull against the chair itself so that it folds down out of the way. Now we're going to run it back down. It also has a vent in the bedded area. There's a narrow knob, cranks it up. Little back button off on the left hand side turns it on and off. I'm going to go ahead and put the little pins back in either one of these sides over here. It has a 110 outlet in the center that is also GFI protected by the outlet in the bathroom. Same way with the behind the door, top and bottom. The top one area is for another TV back here in the toy hauler section. Then you also have your vent that opens up, lets cold air in, come out the top. There's one down behind the seat on this side here that lets the cold air go back out through there, so that if there's gas in your toy that you got in the toy hauler, it will vent it to the outside. To get that back, you just grab a hold of the center handle, pull it back up to the center two knobs. Same way with the one that's underneath back here. And there is also a fire extinguisher in the toy area that is required by federal law. There is a round vent in the ceiling that brings AC, 2 of those. There's a vent on the bottom of the front wall that brings heat in here. And then you have your straps for hooking down your toys on the inside of the unit. There is a little closed space here if you want to add clothes to this side here. There is 2 cabinet doors right above that. Quite a bit of storage up top. We're going to come right back through the unit. Pretty good sized cabinets here at the corner of the left side of the slide room. You do have your breaker box that is marked with your breakers from the top to the bottom, exactly what they are, with your 50 amp main being in the center. And then your car fuses from the top down are marked on the right hand side. Each one of the 12 volt fuses has a red light to the right hand side of it. Anytime one of those fuses blows, that little red light will come on, indicating that the fuse beside of it is blown. I think you only get one extra spot here that don't have a fuse in it. We're going to come over to the light switch for the slide room. The first one on the left hand side turns your little LED lights at the back of the unit on. The second one turns your 2 lights above us. There is switches on either side of the recliners for cranking them out to the lay down position. We're going to crank them back up. Same way on the, I'd say, the right hand side. There is a little button on either side for the center one that does the same thing. Allows it to recline out. The second button brings it back in. Since you can consider that a bedded area, the window in behind it does not have the red handle on it, but it can be used for a fire escape window to get out to the off door side of the unit. We're going to come back into the master bedroom. Has a light switch on the wall for turning the 2 lights at the top on. There is another place for a TV here with a TV antenna booster and satellite hookup. A 110 outlet to plug the TV into. There is a knurled knob in the vent in the master bedroom. Little black button to the left hand side turns it on and off. We have a fire escape window on the off door side of the unit. In case of emergencies, anything would happen, there is a way that you can escape from the master bedroom on the off door side. We're going to come right down here at the bottom. There is a light switch for turning the light above the bed on. We have a 110 outlet on either side of the bed at the front, and on the right hand side we have a set of USB ports for a CPAP machine. We're going to come right above that. Does have a little cabinet space on either side for closets. Does have a pretty good sized shelf up top, and it does have storage down underneath the mattress. underneath the mattress. Take the screw out of the piece of black paneling up on top. Accesses you into the inverter, the back of the hot water heater, into the back of the generator prepped area for the transfer switch. Extra tile in the floor in here that matches the living room. Does have a round vent in the ceiling that brings air conditioner into the master bedroom. The second fan here is prepped for your second air. If you wanted to add a second air to it, there is a way you can add an extra air to the master bedroom. I'm going to turn a little light switch off on the wall. A little light switch off here. There is privacy doors on either side that you can slide open for privacy in the master bedroom between the kitchen, living room, and bedroom area. But that is basically everything on your unit. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer the best that I can. Thank you for your time.